Hello everyone, welcome to Sunburned Plays, Ace Attorney Trilogy episode 66. Let's do this! How did I get into this mess?
That's far enough. You can't run forever, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
It started auto-playing after I saved this, so I had to, reload. What? What have I done wrong?
I cannot allow you to go on like this.
But I'm just a simple defense attorney!
Silence! You are no longer worthy of your title.
I've had this dream before, someplace, some time ago. As if this day was written into my destiny. Today I'll stand in court as a lawyer. To prove a killer innocent. Oh, here we go, fellas, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Beep. Hello, this is Phoenix Wright. You don't look so well, dude. You're gonna prove me not guilty today, right? If you please, Mr. Lawyer. Remember, it's not just me. Your precious friend's life is riding on today's verdict, too. Now listen up. You'd better get on guard a guilty sentence, okay? If you get that creepy slime bag of not guilty, I'll never forgive you, ever! Maya. Phoenix! Phoenix! Oh. Mia! Maya! How's Maya? I don't know. You don't know? She hasn't tried to channel me since yesterday. Mia, what am I supposed to do? Well, like I said, for a lawyer, the worst of times are when you have to force your biggest smiles. But you can't give up. There's still some hope left. Stop it, please. There's nothing left. Not here, not anywhere. It's that accursed on guard again. Will you leave me alone? Look, don't call me anymore. I mean it. You're really mean, pal. Gumshoe, I'm really sorry. Where are you? They let me join the investigation team, and we're chasing after the killer, pal. Then you have some sort of lead? Sorry, but right now we've got 0 leads on the guy. But we're not going to give up. Gumshoe. Until the trial is over, until the verdict is handed down, we're going to do everything we can and find the killer. If we can get Maya out, then you can get on guard the guilty verdict he deserves, pal. That's true, I could do that if they found Maya first. You got that? So you have to do whatever you can to make the trial last longer. I have to make the trial last longer? If you go at Mr. Edgeworth with everything you've got, then you two can draw it out. Oh, now I get it. I believe in you, pal. You and Mr. Edgeworth can do it. So, believe in us. We're going to give it all we've got, just like you. Got it. Thanks, Gumshoe. Hey, Phoenix. You understand now, don't you? You have something money will never be able to buy. Friendship. It's the strongest weapon in the world, and you have it in abundance. Yeah! That's super gay. Looks like we're coming to the end. I have to make the trial last as long as I can. Gumshoe will come through, I know it! But will he? But will he, though?
Court is now in session for the trial of Matt on guard.
The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor.
Now, as I recall, we concluded yesterday's session with a big mystery on our hands. The mystery being what exactly was Miss Adrian Andrews' role in this murder. That is to say, is she really connected to the crime itself? Mr. Edgeworth, if you would please inform the court of today's proceedings.
Adrian Andrews. She forged evidence that threw suspicion onto Mr. On Guard, and then proceeded to escape the crime scene by wearing a nickel samurai costume. The guilt of these actions are those from which she cannot escape.
And you're saying that she is guilty after all?
I'm not finished, Your Honor. Miss Andrews has nothing to do with committing the actual murder. I would like to direct the court's attention to this card.
What is that? It looks like a shell.
This is the calling card of a certain assassin.
Assassin, you say?
Yes, Juan Corrida was killed by a professional assassin. And the person who hired the assassin, his client so to speak, is Matt on guard.
Ooh, what a surprising turn of events.
I would think it's become commonplace by now, Your Honor. I know what's going on this time, so I know that everything Edgeworth has said is true. But we still have to hold out as long as we can, at least until Maya's safe and sound. I wonder how the trial will turn out today.
Now then, please call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth.
The prosecution calls the defendant's mentor, Mr. Will Powers, to the stand. Now then, witness, your name and occupation, please.
Okay. I'm, Will Powers. I'm a poor, underpaid action star.
And what is your relation to the defendant?
Well, I guess I'm sort of a lousy mentor to him in a way. Yeah. Mr. Powers, please, you don't need to put yourself down so much. Oh, sorry. Well, but I'm just kind of a nothing sort of guy.
On the night of the murder, you visited the defendant's room. Is this correct?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
But you know, I didn't actually get to see Matt when I went.
All you need to do is answer what you're asked. Now then, I would like you to please testify about when you went to Mr. On Guard's room.
Okay, sure. After the awards ceremony, I went by myself to Matt's room. Matt was standing there in front of his room, still in his nickel samurai costume. He was talking with someone. At first I thought it was the bellboy. I watched the two of them for a while, but then I gave up and went back. I had guests with me that night, and I couldn't make them wait for me.
Nothing sounds out of place in Mr. Powers' testimony. And talking with the bellboy is no big deal. Yeah! If one assumes that the person Mr. On Guard was speaking with was an ordinary bellboy.
What are you implying?
Well, Mr. Wright, let's have your cross-examination, shall we? Looks like we're in another sticky situation. Huh? A trap. Can't you smell it, Phoenix? But for us to find out more, we're just going to have to charge in head first, right? Alright, after the award, I went by myself to Matt's room. Matt was standing there in front of his room, still in his nickel samurai costume. I was talking with someone at first, thought I was the bellboy. At first? What do you mean by that?
Well, he was in a bellboyish uniform and he had a bottle of juice on a tray.
Sounds like an ordinary bellboy to me.
Yeah, but I didn't think he was a normal bellboy.
And why was that?
Why did I think that, Mr. Wright?
How am I supposed to know?
Sorry, but I can't remember right now. Sorry.
I guess I'm going to have to wait patiently on this one. You saw the two of them, the bellboy and the defendant, together, correct?
Yeah, the bellboy just wanted to say congrats.
Now, while you were watching the two of them, did you notice anything strange?
You know, I did feel something weird. I think it was because Matt, well, he gave the bellboy a tip.
A tip? But that's a perfectly normal thing to do.
So, how long did you watch the two of them? Not more than a minute or two, I think.
So who are these guests you're talking about?
You guys, of course. You and Maya and Little Pearl. I thought it would be really rude since I invited you guys if I disappeared on you. So I went back to my seat pretty soon after seeing Matt in the hallway.
This is like squeezing water from a stone. It's probably pointless to press further. Do you remember this incident? Did Mr. Powers leave his seat that night? I don't remember that happening at all. Maya was making such a racket in her hyper state. I ended up focusing on her. I see. In any case, from his story, he probably wasn't gone for very long. The defendant's room? Why did you go there?
Well, I'm his mentor, like a big brother, sort of, and I wanted to say congrats. What's wrong? Why did you stop? Mr. Wright!
What is it?
You're going to try to trick me into a corner, aren't you?
Huh?
I know I'm just a poor, underpaid action star, but I'm not the killer!
No one said you were, Mr. Powers.
No, please, don't trick me! Every time you do your lawyer thing, the witness suddenly turns into the bad guy.
Every time? Witness, I will personally talk to the defense at a later time, so for now, please kindly cooperate and continue with your testimony.
Sorry. So you went to the defendant's room, and then?
Hey, wait a minute. When and how did I suddenly turn into the bad guy here? Standing there still in the samurai costume. Are you sure that was Matt on guard?
Yeah, I'm sure. He wasn't wearing the Nickel Samurai mask then.
If that's the case, then he really can't be mistaken. And what was the defendant doing standing in front of his own room?
He was talking. At first thought it was the bellboy, watched two of them.
So we've seen everything, so... It's time to contradict something? After the awards ceremony. I don't really even know when that was. Like, what time was it? Matt was standing there, still in his Nickel Samurai costume. He was talking with someone. At first, I thought it was the bellboy. Did we say it wasn't the bellboy? But we're trying to not, like, you know... Alright, I guess not. Watched to him for a while, then I gave up and went back. I guess couldn't make them wait. Do you remember this incident? Yes, I don't remember it. In any case, probably wasn't gone for very long. Well, what does that have to do with anything? What am I supposed to do here? You didn't go by yourself! Like, what? Standing there in front of his room, still in his Nickel Samurai costume. Said he wasn't wearing the mask. Would this have been before or after the murder? If he gave him a tip, then would it have been afterwards? No. I don't understand. He couldn't have been in a costume, and the reason is... I don't know. We pressed every statement. Still in the position. Didn't we? You sure? Yeah, he wasn't wearing the mask. You really can't be mistaken. He was talking with someone first that was the bellboy, watched to him, then gave up and went back. Saw the two of them, yeah, the bellboy wanted to say congrats, noticed anything strange. Did feel because he gave the bellboy a tip. That's a perfectly normal thing to do. Only watched him for a minute or two. Then we pressed this, like, who were the guests? Oh, they're us.
I don't understand. First startup is the bellboy, but it's not the bellboy. We already tried John Doe's profile. Would we use the card then? No. Would we use the transceiver? No. I mean, I know we're not trying to prove... You say at first you thought it was the bellboy, and then you don't elaborate on that point at all. Like, what made you think it wasn't afterwards? And none of the things related to this are doing anything. So what's the deal, son? What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do right now? What are you supposed to do? You didn't give up and go back, you stayed! And you, Dude, I don't understand this. This doesn't make sense. There's nothing here to do. Time to look it up. Bam, 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 bam. Ace Attorney. What is this episode called? Farewell, My Turnabout. Ace Attorney, farewell, my turnabout guide. Episode 4, we're just going down to the trial place. It's because this is such a nothing testimony. There is nothing going on in this at all. It's the most bland, bare bones bullshit. Wait, is this... Okay, 4.1, then yeah, I'll skip to that. Alright, Power's testimony. Another trap may be at hand, oh yeah. Press on the 4th statement. Now press on the 3rd statement. You have to do it in order? This is so stupid. Yeah, tip, that's super normal. Then we go back and press this. At first? What do you mean by that? I didn't think it was a normal bellboy. And why was that? Why did I think that, Mr. Wright? How am I supposed to know? Hey, wait a second. Actually, Mr. Powers, only a few minutes ago you stated... Are you fucking joking? You know, I did feel something weird. I think it was because, well, I gave the bellboy a tip. So now we have to press statements in a particular order now? God. Could it be that you felt something strange about the tip-giving incident itself? Ah, yeah, that's it. You really know your job. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. This bellboy, he wasn't an ordinary one, was he? Perhaps we should let the witness tell us. Very well. Mr. Powers, please amend your testimony. You mean about the bellboy, right? Matt gave the bellboy a tip. Okay. What, that's it? That's the whole testimony? What am I supposed to do with this now? He didn't give the bellboy a tip.
Oh, God, we probably just have to press the statement again. So we gave the bellboy a tip. What's so strange about that?
Well, you see, Matt's not a poor penny pincher like me. I was trying to figure out how much it was because the tip really shocked me.
How much it was?
But that's when something even more surprising happened. The bellboy was putting the tip he got in his pocket, and that's when I got my first good look at the guy's face. I was really shocked.
I'm afraid I don't follow at all. It sounds like Mr. Powers was surprised twice by this event. I wonder which of these shocking moments I should ask about. I mean, the face with the hole zipped up and all that crap, but I want to know about the tip. Just ask both. It doesn't do both of them. What was so shocking about the bellboy's face, Mr. Powers?
Well, he wasn't exactly a boy, more like an old gramps. I hope you know that discrimination towards old men is a no-no in my court. No, that's not what I meant at all. In the smack middle of the guy's face, there was a line of stitches.
A line of stitches?
Yeah, and it went straight from the tippy top of his head to the bottom of his chin. Almost like if that thread snapped, all the stuff in his head would come spilling out.
Ah! He was there, at Unguard's house. He was that butler!
What is it, Mr. Wright?
Nothing, Your Honor. So that means Unguard was talking with DeKiller then. If that fact were to be exposed, Unguard would be declared guilty in a blink. Phoenix, you have to play dumb here. Pretend you don't know anything. Yes, Chief.
You sure you don't have anything you would like to say, Mr. Wright?
Huh? What did you just say, Your Honor?
Nothing, Mr. Wright, nothing. We're just going around and around in circles. Now then, Mr. Powers, please continue with your testimony.
And now we'll press the other side of it. The defendant is a huge star. He can afford to give generous tips, wouldn't you agree?
Sure. But giving him that much was maybe a little too much, I think.
A little too much? Would you please clarify for the court about how much would you say the defendant gave to the bellboy?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't even begin to guess.
And why is that? Because he gave the bellboy a really, really fat roll of cash. A roll of cash?
Ah, well, how interesting. That certainly was a very generous tip, wasn't it?
A very fat roll of cash. That can hardly be called a tip, Your Honor. The judge is beginning to look awfully suspicious of us. The defendant is a superstar. That kind of tip is typical fare for people like him. Are you saying that all superstars are super spenders? If I could receive large rolls of cash by simply bringing people things on trays, then why on earth would I stand around here prosecuting? He's got a point. I don't even get paid, let alone rolls of cash for all my hard work.
So supposing that roll of cash was not a tip, then what was it?
Payment, Your Honor.
Payment?
Isn't it obvious? For the murder of Mr. Juan Carita.
Then the bellboy the witness saw.
Yes, he was the assassin.
Hold your horses now. Mr. Edgeworth, you don't have any proof of this, do you?
Have I ever been unprepared to support my claims, Your Honor? I have here the card Shelley DeKiller left at the scene of the crime.
Shelley DeKiller?
He is the person the police's special investigations team has been chasing for ages. I am certain that the person the witness saw was this very assassin, Shelley DeKiller.
Really? What's wrong, Mr. Powers? No, nothing. Something just clicked in my head and I think I just figured something out. Oh? Actually, I saw that bellboy again later on that night.
What?
Mr. Powers, please testify. Tell us what you saw. Yes, sir, right away. This time I was in that hallway because I had to go to the bathroom, and that's when that bellboy I saw earlier came out of the room. Of course, when I say room, I mean Juan Corrida's room. Now that I think about it, that bellboy did seem kinda out of place. Yeah, so he had to be the assassin, I'm sure of it. I mean...
Thank you very much. That is all we need for now.
Huh? But I'm not done. There's still more.
Let us first establish that the bellboy was truly Mr. De Killer, then we shall see.
So the bellboy came out of the victim's room. And if that bellboy really was the assassin, then I think the answer is fairly obvious.
That would be correct, Your Honor. Well, Mr. Wright, I believe it's your turn to entertain and make us laugh. Ha 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 ha! This is no laughing matter. Alright, this time I was in that hallway because I had to go to the bathroom. Can you prove that? And what time was it?
Ah, well, I don't remember. The awards ceremony ended around 8 p.m., right? And I went to Matt's room pretty soon after that, and then I came back, and then I went to the bathroom. So I guess maybe it was around 8:10 p.m. by that time?
You're not one for details, are you, Mr. Powers?
Sorry. I thought I could maybe catch Matt and say my congrats.
And that's when that bellboy came out of the room. Are you sure it was the same bellboy?
Yeah.
And how could you tell? All the bellboys wear the same uniform, after all.
But, you see, well, he had those stitches in his face.
Ugh.
So I'm sure it's the same guy that was talking with Matt.
So which room did the bellboy come out of?
Of course, when I say room, I mean Juan Corrida's room.
The victim's room, huh?
Yeah, the one with all the really pretty flowers and teddy bears. It was Juan's room, all right.
Words cannot describe how screwed I am. Let's continue with the testimony, shall we? Now that I think about it, that bellboy did seem kind of out of place. So what exactly was so out of place about him? Right. Why the insipid grin? Maybe because I have no idea what damaging thing he's going to say next?
Well, the bellboy was empty-handed.
Empty-handed?
That bellboy was one of those room service people, right? But he wasn't pushing a cart and he wasn't holding a tray either. You'd call that a little strange too, wouldn't you?
I agree that it is a bit strange, Mr. Powers. But is it really that unusual for a bellboy to be empty-handed? What should I do? Should I let Mr. Powers' testimony slide, or...
We gotta pull a fast one!
There is nothing strange or unusual about an empty-handed bellboy.
But there really, really is.
There really, really isn't. If you two are done being school children, bellboys are for room service. There is no reason for them to be empty-handed ever. Your Honor, I ask that the witness's previous statement be supplanted with this new one. Ugh, Edgeworth, are you going to do whatever you can to make the bellboy look suspicious?
I see. Very well, this court recognizes and grants the prosecution's request.
Mr. Powers, if you could amend your testimony, please.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that it's suspicious for him to be empty-handed?
Yeah, really suspicious. I mean, when I first saw that bellboy, he was holding a tray in his hand, and there was a bottle of juice and a wine glass on it.
Juice? What kind of juice was it?
I'm pretty sure it was tomato juice.
If we could come up with some sort of reason as to why he would come out empty-handed, some sort of proof, then I think we can dodge the bullet on this one for now. Proof, huh? Sounds like another job for the court record. Ooh, then we could say that he delivered the tomato juice glass. Except that it has Andrew's fingerprints on it. That's the only problem with that. Perhaps he could have been delivering a teddy bear. Nah. That wouldn't work. But I do think that this wine glass could. Yes! Mr. Powers.
Yes?
You're easily influenced by other people's words, aren't you? As soon as you heard that the bellboy might have been the killer, you got caught up in believing it must be true.
But isn't he really suspicious? He's got all those stitches, and...
So, a baseball has stitches. Are you saying all baseballs are suspicious because they have stitches?
No. Well, there's also... I mean, what about him being empty-handed?
I would like to ask the court to please take a look here. Oh my god, Crash Team Racing comes out in like 7.5 hours, you guys!
This is the crime scene.
There is a wine glass sitting next to Mr. Kurita's body. The liquid inside this glass is tomato juice. And now, if you would look at what is on top of the table in the lower right corner here, anyone can clearly see that it is a tray with a bottle of tomato juice on it. The bellboy had just brought this to Mr. Kurita's room. He left the tray in the room, which is why he was empty-handed when he left.
Ah, but that would mean that the bellboy had seen and left a dead body in the room.
Ah, but can you prove that Mr. Kurita was already dead at that time?
Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes?
I blame you for leading me down this route.
I'm terribly sorry. What is with him? Why is he laughing? Witness, isn't there one more thing you would like to share with us?
Is there?
The bellboy was empty-handed, or should I say empty-hand-ed. I recall you had something interesting to say about his hands.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot.
Huh? What?
That bellboy, he was wearing gloves.
Gloves?
Yeah, pitch black leather ones. All the other bellboys don't wear gloves like that, right?
Black leather gloves.
Why didn't you mention them earlier? Sorry, it slipped my mind.
Boy, does this make the bellboy look really suspicious. Alright, I've gotta focus. I can't get lax here. So what if he had gloves? A lot of bellboys wear gloves.
Come on, Mr. Wright, that bellboy was wearing black leather ones.
So, a football is made of leather? Are you saying all footballs are suspicious because they are made of leather? This is a great recurring joke now.
Go. But that man, he received a large roll of cash from the defendant, and then he was seen leaving the crime scene wearing black leather gloves. I don't think that even someone like myself can believe he was just another bellboy.
It seems that we have finally come to an understanding. Now then, witness, please continue with the rest of your testimony. The rest?
Oh yes, please tell us more. Okay. After leaving Juan's room, the bellboy went and knocked on Matt's door, just like that. He gave something to the person inside the room. And then the old guy just left without even going into the room. After that, I went to the bathroom and then back to my seat.
So the bellboy, after leaving the crime scene, next went to the defendant's room?
Yeah, I kinda saw all that by accident.
Some accident? I'd say you saw too much. And all of it was suspicious to high heaven.
I think it's safe to say that we can no longer consider this bellboy to be normal. Now then, let's get started, shall we? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Alright, after leaving Juan's room, the bellboy went and knocked on Matt's door just like that. You still just press everything. Is that what you saw while you were busy spying?
Excuse me? I may be a poor, underpaid action star, but even I wouldn't stoop to spying.
Well, I think the point is where I love the vindictiveness from Wright. Oh, that's what you saw when you were fucking spying, huh?
Well, I think the point is where did you watch all this?
Oh, is that what you saw while you were being a dirty little eavesdropping bitch? Is that what it was?
Oh, from the door of the bathroom with my left eye, in sort of sneaky spy-like...
I knew he was spying! Please, does it really matter if he was doing it over or underhandedly? What did the bellboy do next? That's all I care to know. Gave something to the person inside the room. I said hold it! Okay. That's better. What kind of statement is that? Please elaborate and give us a few more details! Oh, okay. I should probably ask him only one question at a time. He gave something to this person? Yeah. And what was this something? Ha ha ha! If I remembered what it was, I wouldn't be calling it a something, would I? But this implies that something was removed from the scene of the crime. Are you sure you really can't remember, Mr. Powers? I think it was something kinda small. This is an incredibly crucial piece of information. Please try to remember what it was. I'll try. In the meantime, let's talk of another point. Namely, what the bellboy did next. Oh, so after he gave the person inside the room the thing. Hold on, I'm gonna press the other thing as well. I said hold it, okay, that's better. What kind of statement is that? Please elaborate and give us more details. Should probably ask him only one question at a time. So who took this something the bellboy handed off? Actually, I don't know. What do you mean? I'm sorry, but I only saw the person's arm. Only an arm. Then you're saying you didn't see the person's face? Yeah. I would like to summarize the testimony up to this point, if you don't mind. When the bellboy left the crime scene, he immediately went to the defendant's room. There, he handed a small item of some sort to the person inside. As for the person who received the item, all you could see was the person's arm. Yes, it was just like that. Mr. Edgeworth, is all this really that important? Of course, Your Honor. I think this is of the utmost importance. This is when whatever was removed from the crime scene was handed over to the client. Mr. Powers, please try to remember what it was the bellboy handed off. Well, let's see. I think it was... No. If you remember, please add it to your testimony. Yes, sir. If I saw it again, I could say for sure, but I think it was some sort of wooden statue. Ooh, are you talking... Oh, are you talking about this little wooden bear figurine? What was the point of that pregnant pause? Where did that objection come from? Well, speak up. It was me, Your Honor. What is it, Phoenix? I have a feeling that something bad is going to happen once I show this. Mr. Wright, if you have something to say, please spit it out. Yes, Your Honor. Okay, Phoenix, deep breath. Mr. Powers, the something you saw, was it this item? Oh, hey, that's it. That's the something. Wow, Mr. Wright, you really figured it out. I recall we found this at Madame Guard's mansion. At the defendant's house? See, now I think we can just play this off as like a gift. And then it's like it doesn't matter because it's just a little bear, you know? So who cares if it was removed from the crime scene? What does this mean? It's simple, Your Honor. Shelley the Killer assassinated Juan Carita in his room, and then he stole this wooden bear from the scene of the crime. Then the bear being found at Madame Guard's mansion would mean... It goes without saying, Your Honor. Mr. Madame Guard is the killer's client. Order! Order! Order, I said order! Mr. Wright, this is a most unfortunate turn of events for you. Yeah. Sorry, Mia. No, it's alright. Your judgment was sound. Actually, I figured the bear would come up. If not now, then it would have later on. Even if you hadn't shown it to the court, I'm sure your friend Edgeworth would have. I almost forgot that he knew about it too. I think it is clear that there is no need for us to continue this trial. I can't let this happen. I have to do something. There has to be something we've overlooked. Your Honor, a minute, please. Yes, Mr. Wright? There are still a few points left that we have not fully explored. What are you trying to pull?
Oh, well, we can't have that. All right, Mr. Wright, what questionable point would you like to explore further?
I would say... we could do the person... well, the bear ended up at Matt's residence, and, like, he would just say so. Like, Edgeworth would just say so. So... we could either do Powers' testimony, or we do the bear itself. I think it's fairly obvious that the bear itself is very questionable.
The bear, Mr. Wright?
This was found at Mr. Enguarde's mansion. However, Mr. Enguarde was arrested at the hotel that night, which means that since the murder occurred, he has not had a chance to go home.
Oh.
I think Your Honor has already figured out what I'm trying to say. It is not possible that it was Mr. Enguarde who took this bear to his mansion.
Why, that's very true. We didn't consider that point, Mr. Wright. There was no way, time-wise, for the defendant to have taken his bear home.
Phew. Disaster averted, it looks. You haven't gotten the best of me yet, Mr. Wright. Huh? I remember it clear as day. I remember what you muttered to yourself at Enguarde's mansion. We have this area completely surrounded. There is no way for him to escape. I can't believe it. That butler, all this time he was DeKiller. DeKiller and Enguarde were working together, so to speak, and DeKiller was hiding at Enguarde Mansion as its butler.
What a bold move.
The bear figurine was brought back to Enguarde Mansion by DeKiller himself. When it looked like he was about to be arrested, Enguarde had him do so. I assume because it would have been bad had the police found it during their investigation. Well, Mr. Wright, you've been quiet for a while now. This is too much. Isn't there anything I can attack at all? I have to try. I have to find something else.
What will you do now, Mr. Wright? Do you plan to...
I plan to expose a clearly shaky place in Mr. Powers' testimony.
What? There is still another one?
There is indeed, Your Honor, and it's quite a questionable point. What are you trying to pull?
Oh, well, we can't have that. All right, Mr. Wright, what question... okay.
There was one thing in Mr. Powers' testimony that was very unclear, and that is the identity of the person who received the bear.
He gave something to the person inside the room. I'm sorry, but I only saw the person's arm.
As long as we don't know who it was that took the bear, we can't be sure of...
Ah! What is it, Mr. Powers? If you're going to scream like that, then at least give us a good reason why. Oh, yeah, sorry. Actually, so I remembered. I remembered who took the bear.
What?
Really? I mean, I only saw his arm, but the arm, it was the Nickel Samurai's arm. I swear it.
You've got to be kidding! Are you sure of that, Mr. Powers?
Yeah, I'm sure it was the Nickel Samurai.
Now we're just gonna say that it was Adrian Andrews in the Nickel Samurai costume. Oh ho ho ho!
Order! Order! It looks like you've dug your own grave, yet again.
How many times is that today? I've lost count. So the person who took in this little bear was the Nickel Samurai. And, as we all know, Matt Enguarde is the Nickel Samurai.
Thanks to the defense, we've made that all the clearer. I think we've heard enough. We now know why this bear figurine was at the defendant's mansion, as well as who it was that received the bear from the assassin in his room. Everything has become very clear. The client, who hired the assassin to commit the murder, was Mr. Matt Enguarde. I see no reason for this trial to continue. Therefore, I will now hand down my verdict.
Thank you, Your Honor, for your understanding. You see, Mr. Wright, you could not win against the truth, could you? I knew it would turn out this way. After all, what Edgeworth has stated is the truth.
Any last objections, Mr. Wright?
Well, do I?
I will now announce the
There is only one way for me to drag this trial out. The only thing I have left is this one dirty trick. Your Honor, right now we have these 2 reasons to believe my client is the assassin's client. Reason number 1, he accepted the bear figurine from the assassin. Reason number 2, that very same figurine was found at On Guard Mansion. However, it's possible this is all the work of a certain other person.
What are you saying?
What I am saying is, it's possible a different person is the killer's real client.
The real client?
Adrian Andrews. Yes. Tisk tisk. Is this all you have?
Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your theory. Who do you say is the killer's real client, and therefore the real murderer? Adrian Andrews?
Yes. We already know that she tried to frame Matt On Guard for the crime. By wearing a spare nickel samurai costume.
Ah. Then the nickel samurai's arm that I saw.
That could have very well been Miss Andrews.
But what about Mr. On Guard?
If you would please recall yesterday's testimony, the defendant was taking a nap during the break period.
That's right. Then, finding this figure at Mr. On Guard's mansion.
It was a well-laid trap set by Miss Andrews.
Mr. Edgeworth, what is your opinion on this?
I can't even begin to count the flaws in the defense's logic, besides which there is no evidence to support it. However, I can't fully discount its possibility either. What is with this trial? Come on, anyone can tell On Guard did it. I can't believe the defense would go so far as to pin the guilt onto someone else. Yeah, unbelievable. It's not something petty, it's murder of all things. This is to save Maya. This is to save Maya. Even if the whole world turns against me, this is one fight I can't give up on.
Order! Order! All disruptive parties will be forced to leave the courtroom.
And that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.